Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gents. Welcome back to another episode of Sofa Safari. As you all well may know, I don't often do the solo safari type of thing where I film myself while driving a very large piece of machinery like Mr. Chatcock. So it should be interesting getting bumped around here and trying to keep up with looking good on camera while showing you guys all the majesty of the Timbavati and the area around Tandatula. So yeah, looking forward to it. Let's see how I do. This afternoon I'm going to go follow up on a couple of characters that it's been a while since I've seen them. So I'm very, very excited to see if they are going to show themselves again this afternoon and let me take some photographs. And yeah, let's see what the afternoon brings. Ooh, I just spotted something. Give me 2 seconds. Let me just reverse first.
So what we're looking at, folks, is a monitor lizard in his hole over there, and I've been giving him a little bit of time to poke his head back out. He's usually very relaxed and pops out for us all to see, but for some reason today he was pretty scared and went back into his hole as soon as I started trying to reverse. Slowly but surely he's starting to show himself. This is one of the bigger, actually it is, there's two species of monitor lizard that we get out here. One is the rock monitor and the other is the water monitor. And this would be the rock monitor. And they are, the water monitor is bigger, but between the two of them, the monitor lizards are the biggest lizards that you'll see out here, other than, of course, the crocodiles, which are their own sort of family altogether. But yeah, great to see them. Of course, they are carnivorous, so they'll feed on mostly bugs. To be honest, maybe something bigger like a rodent every once in a while, maybe another lizard. Maybe they'll raid a bird's nest. So yeah, they do get up to a fair bit of mischief. But yeah, nice to see him. He always pokes his head out here and gets a bit of sun. And that reminds me, apologies, the lighting is terrible. I'm shooting basically straight into the sun here. And it's not the easiest thing to expose for. But yeah, he's a cutie pie. We're quite used to seeing him. Check him blinking there. And yeah, he can stick around for as long as he likes. It's interesting because he is right next to the road, this tree, our access road actually, which is quite busy. You know, we've got guests arriving all the time and deliveries and things like that. But he seems to be pretty chuffed with his little dwelling. And I think if I was him, I'd also be pretty chuffed with that hole. So yeah, nice to see you, buddy. I'll leave you alone now though. And we'll move on for the afternoon. As I said, I want to go and see some characters, go and catch up with them. It's been a while. In fact, it'll be the first time this year that I see them. So let's move on, guys. Stick around.
For those of you that might recognize that lizard, he actually featured in my last week's weekend photographs. So go check that out on our blog. You'll find that on Facebook. Quite a glamorous model. And when you see that photograph, that's usually how he sits. So today he's got a bit of stage fright. But that's okay. Some days we're not as confident as others. But yeah, I'm busy again now trying to get weekend photos while doing some sofa safaris and trying to keep you guys all updated. And you know, it's just a wonderful time to be out. We've had a lot of rain over the last over the last few days, maybe a week or so. So yeah, it's cool to be out. There's lots of little ponds and rivers and things like that all over the show. So I'll try to show you all a bit of that today. But first and foremost, let's make our way to those characters. Here's one of those little bits of water I was telling you about. So this drainage line runs all the way up there towards the left and all the way through the bush around here. It's actually a really, really nice area to walk through, especially when there is a bit of water like this. And it just flows across the road right in front of me there. And usually this can become quite a nice torrent after we've had a fair bit of rain. And it flows through the bush here, right down to the river, just down in this direction here. And then Tandatula's a little bit more over here, so it goes into the river here, and you can actually see it once we've had a lot of rain, this exact drainage line, what we call a donga in South Africa, going straight into the river there, and you can see it kind of emptying out into the river, and it kind of gets the river going in a small way, which gets us almost excited sometimes, and then we realize, hold on, it's just the donga flowing. But yeah, I guess for the rest of you, especially our American friends, you would call it a creek. For us, it's a donga. Anyway, I'm going to cross over this treacherous crossing. I'm in a Land Cruiser, so it could get dodgy. I'll give you an update if I do not.
Right, well, he sat up for all of 38 seconds. I got some photographs, tried to film, and he did what lions do. Fell over, basically falling asleep mid-air. Nice to see him nonetheless, though. Looking nice and full, happy. It's not just him either. The river pride is here, along with the sub-adult cub. And yeah, these are the characters that I was wanting to meet up with again. First time I'm seeing them this year. And you wouldn't believe it, I mean, the whole of last week when I was out and about, they've just been laying incredibly low. So to happen upon them again is really cool. And let's see what they get up to for the rest of the afternoon. I'll definitely get some footage of the cub for you. She's looking huge now. Maybe if I just pan a little bit, terribly pan, you can see one of the females, she's got her head literally in the bush there. It's a mild 34, 35 degrees Celsius today, so she's got the right idea. But they're down here sleeping on the beautiful, cool river sand. You can see that sand looks kind of wet. Where he's lying is exactly where the river was flowing 2 or 3 days ago. So yeah, he's got the right idea. Nice and cool, nice and comfy. And let's see what they get up to. So that is the other group of the females there. 2 girls and then the cub on the left, on the right hand side. And that cub is getting quite big now. Probably in the region of almost a year old now, actually. So yeah, nice to see she's made it. Of course, in the early days there were 6 of them, and that quickly changed from 6 to 1, basically overnight. All 5 of her siblings passed on. We're still not too sure why. Maybe they were discovered by another pride of lions, maybe some hyenas found them, or something of that nature. So yeah, lekker to see them this afternoon. They're all lazing about. I'm sure we're going to get some heads up any time now, and we can hopefully get some cool photographs to show you guys during weekend photos, but also for Sofa Safari. I'm so happy to see some cats again. There she is, folks, the cub. Although she's looking like a full-grown lioness now, she's looking pretty ready to take on the world. Of course, she isn't. She thinks she is, but as soon as mom disappears for a little bit of time, she probably gets a bit scared. But, she's got to learn that confidence. Probably over the next year and a half, she'll start to get involved with, a little bit of a stretch. Look at that. Cutie pie, man. But yeah, probably over the next year and a half or so, she'll start to get involved with a few hunts here and there. I know it can be quite irritating for lioness to have cubs at a certain age, sort of 1-year-olds, maybe year and a half olds, because they start to think they can get involved with the hunts and they have literally no idea what they're doing just yet. And they end up giving away the entire hunt, and everybody goes hungry. So they've got to watch these young cubs, and I'm sure it's a bit of a blessing in disguise to only have 1 cub as opposed to 6 cubs that would be irritating them and ruining the hunt and choosing to play rather than take things seriously and trying to climb trees and just, generally getting up to mischief. But nonetheless, I'm super, super happy to see these beautiful lions today. They're looking a little bit skinny. I mean, you can see the lioness in the background there. She's looking a bit skinny, but with lions, you can never go on the assumption that just because she's skinny that, things are dire. Lions can go 2, 3, 4 weeks without feeding and still be just fine. That's not to say it's easy for them, but they can rebound quite quickly from a bout of minor starvation. Let me pan over a little bit to the other female here. She's not looking as skinny, so there's definitely been some food on the table recently, especially if you consider the male that we were looking at a bit earlier with his big fat tummy. That's to be expected. I'm sure the girls made the kill and then the cheeky boys came and stole it. It's just one of those things when you're a lioness. You have to deal with schmuck males, and I don't think it's just lioness that have to do that. Many females across the world have to deal with that. But that's just the way it goes, and a lot of people think that that's quite cruel how the males will just basically rock up and eat everything. But it's a pretty fine balance, between protection from the males and protection of the territory as far as other lions coming in and hyenas and so on. And that coming from the males and the females offering food or hunting services in exchange for that. It's not to say it's a written contract or anything, but that just seems to be the way that it kind of works. Also, when you consider that a male lion can weigh in excess of 200, 210, 220, even larger than that kilograms, and a female can only get to about 130, 140, maybe up to 160 on the large end, you begin to realize how easy it is for the males to push the poor girls around. Not an easy life being a lioness. And I think a lot of people, that they think it is quite easy to be a lioness, and it just simply is not. It's very, very tricky. Anyway, one more of my very amateur pans. Oh, look at that. I'm shooting with the Nikon, not famed for their focusing prowess. But yeah. Anyway, there is also a male sleeping behind me at the moment. I'll see if I can get him on camera for you. I can just hear him huffing and puffing in the heat. So let's see if I can get him. There he goes. He got up out of the bush and started walking across. It's who we call skoro skoro madorum, which means rubbish. And that's because of that limp that he has there. So yeah, he's going to go lie down. Let's quickly see if I can reposition and show you guys what he looks like. But this is the scene in general in the riverbed. There's our cats, and the others are lying behind me. So there we have it, guys. There's the males lying right over there and one of the females. And yeah, quite a pity to see old skoro skoro, or as I like to call him, maningi rasa, which means lots of noise. The reason why I like to call him that is because when he calls, when he roars at night, he makes this ridiculous, he kind of roars and he just doesn't stop going. 45 seconds later, still woof, woof. So he just doesn't know when to stop. So I like to call him lots of noise, or maningi rasa. Kind of translates quite easily. But quite sad to see that his leg is ailing him again. That leg has gone from strength to weakness just over the months, and at the moment it's not looking particularly good. One of the issues is, I mean, every time one of these animals gets on the men, then they end up getting into a fight or into a hunt or something like that. And of course, when that sort of thing happens, they end up injuring themselves again and again and again, and they can just never mend. It's not like you or me, where we get sick or hurt ourselves or whatever, and we just get booked off work until we're fine again, or whatever it is. I'm not saying it's always that easy for all of us, but for a wild animal, particularly a lion who needs to feed himself with his own bare hands, it's a very tricky thing to deal with, that kind of injury. So yeah, sad to see that. But I've always said it's a bit of a blessing, because what ends up happening inevitably is that he sticks around with the females as opposed to going off with his two coalition buddies. And that means that the females are afforded a little bit more protection, particularly from things like hyenas, other male lions, and so on. So it does have its benefits. Of course, it didn't work out that day that all 5 of the other cubs got killed by something, unfortunately, but it's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Anyway, let's stick with them a little bit longer, and then we'll see what else the afternoon has in store. All right, folks, I think we're going to leave them there. It's been great to catch up with them again. Little cubby, of course, it always rolls over as soon as I'm not filming anymore. But always great to catch up with these cats. It's been a while, so I'm very happy to see them all again. The 4th female is somewhere. Perhaps she's nursing her cubs at the moment. I don't know. We'll just have to see. But yeah, let's see what else we can find, guys. Sometimes you just have to stop and appreciate the sky. And I know it's not really the sunset or the sunrise or anything like that, but just look at how beautiful the sky is this afternoon, folks. 5:15 in the afternoon in South Africa. Temperature's starting to come down, making me a little bit happier. Yeah, let's continue. I'll find you some animals, don't worry. So forgive me as I try and transition to actually filming myself while my beautiful wife is a little bit pregnant and unable to be on the bumpy Land Cruisers. A little bit dodgy for her at this point in time. But I thought I'd stop and quickly just check out a tree. And the tree I was talking about or looking at is called a flaky bark acacia. And this is what it looks like. There we go, guys. That's it. So beautiful. I mean, at this time of year, see those beautiful yellow pollen balls there. Now, I love the look of them, but I've noticed as I get older, my allergies are getting worse and worse. But anyway, there it is. This is one of the culprits behind my allergies getting worse. But it's just a beautiful little pollen ball and very soft to the touch. And I've explained it before, especially in one of my bush bites, I think where I spoke about giraffe. Giraffe love to eat these acacias, or what you call Senegalias or Vachilias these days. They love to eat them. It's a great source of nutrition, very, very high nutrition, in fact, and the giraffe love it. And while they're busy eating it, their cheeks get covered in this pollen. They're nice little beards. And there you go, you can see it on my finger there. And then what they do is they move on to the next tree, and Bob's your uncle, you get pollination happening between the two trees, and in that way you get a positive genetic movement. But yeah, let me show you around. I'm just trying not to get chowed by anything in the grass here. Let me see if I can show you why we call this a flaky bark acacia. If I get my hand in here without getting spiked, I can actually peel off some of its flaky bark. So there we go. That's some of its bark there, and when you see them in their true adolescence, they're super flaky little trees, and their bark just looks completely flaky. It's almost like one of those flaky chocolates that you might see. But it's a bit tricky to see this one. Maybe there, get right in there, you can see all the flakiness up over here and coming off the bark. But yeah, beautiful tree, flaky bark acacia, nice big white thorns, yellow buds, and nice tree. I don't think we've ever spoken about this one before on Sofa Safari, so there it is. I've been lucky enough to happen upon a juvenile brown snake eagle sitting at the top of this tree. You can see he's quite mottled, hasn't quite gone completely brown yet, but and also his excuse me, I've got a fly on my face, but also there is those beautiful yellow eyes that give him away, a little crest blowing in the wind there. So yeah, nice to see. I'm surprised that there's no little birds dive bombing him at this point in time. Generally speaking, when big birds of this nature come and sit prominently at the top of a tree, the little birds tend to bully them. You'd think it would be the other way around, but it's actually a process called mob behavior, where the little guys kind of gang up on the big guys and chase him out of the area, therefore protecting, or thereby protecting, their little nests and young and themselves and so on. It's not to say that all of these big birds like this snake eagle eat smaller birds than themselves, but the little birds don't really discriminate. A big bird is a big bird, and they know what it's capable of. So yeah, they usually deal with them. But he's peacefully sitting there enjoying the view. I'm sure he is still within the protection, or yeah, call it the protection of his mom and dad, or her mom and dad. Usually eagles will stay with their parents for a good year and a half to 2 years. It's quite a long stage of immaturity before they leave mom and dad and start forging their own way. We call it a brown snake eagle. It's not to say that the only thing they eat is or are snakes. They do eat many other things, but yeah, snakes are what they're most probably seen more often than not eating. So yeah. Just hanging out here close to an area called Marco's Dam, towards the south of Tandatula. And just in the distance there's a couple of impala. You can see they're all males, they've all got their horns. And don't worry folks, I'm going to try to get you closer now. I just thought it was quite a pretty little scene there. You know, not everything always has to be seen up close and personal. Sometimes the wider view offers a little bit more mystery. But very cool to see a bachelor herd of impala just moseying about there in the beautiful long grass. And then next to them, if you have a look, there he is, he's just standing up, is a wildebeest. And if you rewind a bit, you'll see his horns were just sticking out of the grass. Always skeptically looking at everything that comes around them, these male wildebeest. But I'm sure he's taking a bit of comfort there in knowing that the impala are around. And you'll probably find that if the impala start to move, the wildebeest will actually stay with them to a certain extent, as far as it's within his, as long as it's within his territory or his bounds. So it's just safety in numbers, you know. Everybody watches each other's back. Or as I like to say, it's the boogeyman effect. The more of us there are, the less chance there is of the boogeyman getting me. But yeah, let's see if I can get a bit closer and if we can get a bit more up close with these guys. So there he is, a little bit closer. It's the lone wildebeest, and as I say, as the impala start to move, he starts to follow them. Doesn't want to get eaten today. Quite funny that. But it just shows you that a lot of herbivores, they don't really mind each other too much. They'd rather keep each other around for the most part, just to protect each other. Safety in numbers. Stabilized. That being said, you know, on occasion they will get competitive with each other when there's not enough food or water around. then things might change. What the wildebeest is doing there at the moment is actually stomping the ground. He's marking his territory. They do that by having a little gland in between their cloven hoof, so that when they stomp the ground, that gland secretes a pheromone into the soil and helps him mark his territory. So yeah, if you can see them just in the background there, busy moving around and going away from us, sorry, all in reverse, but going that way, is our wildebeest and our impala. They're going to be leaving us for the day, and I am about to go down into the river, which is right ahead of me here, which has been flowing. It's obviously dry now. We were in it earlier with the lions, and I'm going to have a look, see if I can cross. I do have a shovel, so hopefully that comes in useful should I not be able to cross. Wish me luck, folks. I'll get there and then I'll decide if we're going to cross, but I'll show you what it looks like. Well, that's a little bit of an anticlimax, everybody. Unfortunately, someone has already crossed here, so we don't get to forge our way through for the first time. But yeah, anyway, makes my life a bit easier. Let's see what's on the other side. So as I was about to cross the river, I came across an interesting line of tracks or group of tracks. And what you can see, what I'm showing you here at the moment, is just basically a mess. That's because it was quite muddy and the animals sank in quite a bit. But if you look right next to it there's something that looks incredibly kiddie-ish. And if you go a little bit forward, you can see that big track that's essentially just sinking into the mud, slowly but surely starts to turn into quite a big lion track. And I'm pretty sure the kitty cats we were looking at just now happened to come through here a bit earlier. You can see there's a smaller one behind him over here. That's maybe the cub walking there, or one of the lioness's back foot. But this looks like, but you know, it's hard to say because of the sand. When things step in the sand, it tends to splay. It gets bigger than it actually is. So this could be just one of the females that was walking here. But what's really cool is something with lion tracks you don't see very often is the claws over here. So you can see where the claws dug in. There's actually a better example a bit further up. But with cats, their claws are actually retractable. So they concentrate to retract or protract them. So when they're stepping in sand like this, because the sand gives way, their claw actually shows through the track. And there was a much better one to show you a little bit further up, maybe over there. Yeah, you can see it's sharp at the front over here, whereas usually lion tracks are just kind of, there we go, there's another one. You can see the claw marks right there. So yeah, lovely to see. They came across the river here. There we go. You can see as the sand gets a bit harder and more stable, you see these beautiful lion tracks going all the way up here and across the river, and they're somewhere down there, down that way now, but they probably would have walked straight over here and then gone over into the next loop of the river, and that's where they're lying right now. But yeah, always cool to see a smorgasbord of lion tracks. Just hope I don't walk into a lion that's been left behind here. I actually tried to film one of these earlier. Actually, I've tried about 5 times this afternoon, and not one of them has decided to play the game with me, other than this one. So thank you very much, buddy. He's sticking around beautifully and caught my eye in this stunning afternoon light, and I thought, geez, I really have to just maybe try get him on camera. So this is a European roller, ladies and gents, and I know you've probably seen one on one of Chad's episodes. But they're always just such stunning birds to see this time of year. Of course, they're not here all year round. The name European roller obviously gives it away. They migrate back to Europe, but that doesn't stop them from enjoying a summer in Africa and then a summer back in Europe, and and just vice versa as the years go by. It's a pretty clever idea. I think a lot of human beings have figured this out as well. Rather spend your time in beautiful places and duck the cold as soon as it arrives. But they're always a pleasure to have around. Obviously they're from the roller family. So when you think about a lilac-breasted roller, which is far more common and here all year round, this is the same family of birds. Check him looking up there, maybe following a bee or a bug or something that he might hunt. But what I always find quite interesting is that as soon as they do come back into the area, which is usually around December, November, December kind of time, usually December, they start to, it's almost like the lilac-breasted rollers get displaced. And they get out-competed by the European rollers. The Europeans are a little bit bigger. They're kind of 10 maybe 15% bigger, if that. Let's call it 10. I suppose for that reason they get a little bit outclassed, or they outclass the lilac-breasteds rather, which is interesting to think about where the lilac-breasteds might go, because there's usually so many of them, and then all of a sudden there's hardly any of them because there's just European rollers everywhere. So yeah, food for thought. Maybe they, what do we call it, migrate closer to the escarpment, to the mountains, to get away from the European guys coming in. But beautiful sky blue stomach there, and then brown on the back, beautiful contrasting color. It almost looks like, when you do see them from the back, they look like chocolate bubblegum ice cream, if you will. But I'm glad he's sitting around. He's stuck around the whole time that I've been able to talk nonsense here. So pretty chuffed with that. Thank you very much, bud. I'm going to try to get some photographs of him now, and then we'll carry on driving, see what else we can find. I heard some elephants. I'm just trying to see if I can find them here on the riverbank. Ah. There he is. I was just driving up the one road here. I wanted to go look at a dam called Impala Dam to see if there were some elephants there. And as I turned the road, or turned down the road, I was like, which is the evident call of elephants. Here they are. Let me see if I can get some footage for you guys. They're coming through the long grass, which even long enough even to make a fairly big elephant look kind of hidden. But let's see what we can do. Elephants! And there she is, guys. It's been a bit tricky to get a view of these ellies coming through the bush. I did see her, and then there's a calf as well. Not a very small calf, but there is more than one elephant here. But you see what I mean by the long grass? It's kind of deceiving because she is coming up a riverbank at the moment, but the grass is still very long at this point in time, long enough to almost hide her entirely. So I just caught a glimpse of the little one again. He is now behind her, but or she is behind her. But it's always nice to come across some elephants, particularly in this beautiful afternoon light, and always nice to see them just peacefully grazing along the river systems. Now I can't pan too far to the left because her head is behind a tree, but I'm hoping that if I look at her backside there, the little one will pop out somewhere, or the little one. I shouldn't say it's too small. But yeah, let me see if I can get a better view. Evidently we're not going to win here. That's a little bit better where we have her now. She's moving from behind a bush to behind the next bush as she just grazes along here. But I'm not going to complain. Always incredible how big of an animal this can be and how little noise they can make. I mean, obviously I heard one just make that little earlier, and that was obviously or most probably the youngster who was just throwing his toys out the cot for some reason, as youngsters do. Very similar to human beings when we're babies. You know, elephants are the same sort of temperament. But yeah, other than that, if you're not listening carefully, you'll miss them very easily. All they make is the sound of some rustling bushes every once in a while. And you got to have quite sensitive ears over the top of a Land Rover sound or a Land Cruiser sound when you are trying to find them. And for that reason I refer to them as the phantoms of the bush. Let me see if I can get a view of her face, guys. Hang to. There she is. Look at how pretty she is. The trunk coming up now. That is her just trying to smell me. She's trying to figure out, it's been a warm day, so I'm pretty sure I don't smell too great. It's evident because her trunk just went down quite quickly as soon as she picked up my scent. But that's a process that we call periscoping, where elephants, they might not be able to see too well, but they can smell very well. They've got the best smelling organ on the planet just about. And so just lifts her trunk, tries to pick up the wind, figures out what's blowing in on the wind, and then either decides if it's a baddie or not so bad thing, and then she continues to eat, or she takes evasive action. So yeah, but nice to see the ears flapping. It is a hot day. The humidity's been really high, and you can see all the blood capillaries there in the ears. That's just there. Those ears are like membranes, so the blood can pump through them very, very quickly, and they're very close to the surface. So as the blood pumps through all those veins, she rushes the ears through the wind, and that wind will cool down the blood, so to say, and that will pump back through her and cool her down. So very similar to a radiator. But, there they go. On some mornings, I've only seen it once in the Pilanesberg, which is a different game reserve to this, where it gets a lot colder. Elephants will actually stand with their back to the sun and open their ears in the hope that the sun, there's the little guy, but in the hope that the sun would heat up the blood, that they can then pump that back through the body to warm up a bit. But yeah, Nice to see you guys. Thanks for sticking around.
There's our Ellies. You can still just see the giant grey butts in the background. Those are a couple of elephants. The smaller one is a younger elephant. The bigger one is an older elephant, believe it or not. And I can hear a few more just messing around down there in the riverbed that I haven't been able to see yet. But I don't mind. I can spend time with one elephant, 100 elephants. Doesn't matter. It's always very special to spend time with elephants. But yeah, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Sofa Safari. My first time trying to be everything, from the cameraman to the guy that talks, to the guy that makes bad jokes, and everything in between. So I hope you've enjoyed coming along with me this afternoon. It's been cool. We saw the lions. I'm so happy that we caught up with the lions. It's been a very long time since I saw those kitty cats. I'm very chuffed to have seen them. And yeah, I think it was a nice afternoon. A little bit warm out here, but nice, cooling down now beautifully. And until next time, folks, I hope you have a great day wherever you are. Keep those questions and comments and all things coming. We love them. We love hearing all your comments, guys. And thanks so much for all the love. And yeah, feel free to check out the rest of our content. Also don't forget, myself and Chad do have a lot of our images for sale, which goes a long way to supporting Tunda Tula, all the staff, all, throughout this entire misery of a couple of years, the COVID pandemic. But yeah, you're welcome to go check that out, tundatula.com. Click on the little shop icon or tab in the top right hand corner. You'll see some cool images there. If you like one, pick one up. Otherwise, you can book a virtual experience with one of us where we can teach you about our cameras, for instance, or just teach you about our photography and show you around. But yeah, until next time, thanks so much once again. See you soon. Bye.